Hello. Let's talk about today's education system. At the center of it all, of course, the most important people, the students, and they have their schoolwork cut out, and then they have private tutoring, and then they have commutes and logistics that they need to go through. They have school exams, entrance exams, and more exams, and then a few distractions. This is pretty much the life that they revolve around. Meanwhile, we can't even think about what kind of professions that these students will take because those professions are not yet born. And even the existing professions that we know of, they will go through radical change through the injection of STEM. So how do we prepare the students for the future to be productive children? I think they should learn the process of learning itself. And this can take many modalities. They need to learn how to learn by themselves through some failures potentially, with some help from the teachers and coaches and from their peers. But the most important part is they need to apply that knowledge that they learned. And we propose that this is achieved through learning through hands-on discovery, which is what we'll be talking about. And this helps them develop intellectual self-confidence and the ability to work with peers and communicate with confidence the conclusions that they achieved through their learning. And this and only this will help them prepare for the future professions, which we don't know what they are. Okay, how do we go about that? Well, the proposal is to capture vast knowledge from experts and deliver them through modules that are continuously updated and expanded and multimodal. They're self-paced, guided, and can be used in classrooms. And these modules, each module teaches a student how to learn a specific skill or a concept. And a course will have multiple modules, and a program has many courses. So what would be an example of a module and how it would look like? Well, you already are looking at one, and this module is the vision module, and its lessons are motivation, which we are just going through. And we will define more precisely what a module looks like, and its examples, what a course would look like, and its examples, and then a program and its definition. So in a nutshell, learning through hands-on discovery with the students who are currently already burdened will help them thrive in any digital future. See you in the next lesson. Continuing from the previous lesson, which is motivation, now let's get into the definition of a module, what it would look like, what are its constituents. So in this discussion, we'll first understand what a module is. And it's a rather simple idea. It has a bunch of prerequisites, which you should know before you get into the module. It'll have a bunch of lessons. Lesson is the ultimate smallest unit of discussion. And outcome of a module would be, we think about them as three things: a specific skill or a concept that you learn, you are tested and evaluated on that, and then you should be able to understand it enough that you can actually teach someone. Peer learning is a very useful concept throughout our approach. So that is as simple as you can put what's the definition of a module. There are many examples of modules. I'm just picking a few examples here. How to install an Arduino IDE, that could be one example, fairly straightforward. How does an Adafruit Feather works? That's another simple example. Using a motor in an Arduino IDE, that's another example. Or it could be something completely different, and introducing Faraday's law may not have any hands-on experiments, but that could be a module by itself. Building a project to actually demo the law, now that is a hands-on experiments-based module, and it could be 2 or 3 of those: basic, advanced, etc. A home humidity sensor could be another. So modules could be varying in degree, length, complexity, and level of understanding. Usually, we do test at the end of the module with some ideas that you learned there. So, for example, the test would probe the content that you learned, and the hands-on experiments may require variations and on the themes that are introduced in the lessons. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that we want to focus on is not merely how the answer is arrived at, but why behind these answers. I think the deeper understanding is achieved through why, and hands-on experiments would provide why. I think that's the most important part. And these modules are stringed together to form a course in a contextualized way. And we will see some examples of course. In my opinion, constructing a course from a bunch of modules is probably the most interesting part of how to deliver the knowledge. Let's see what a course is. Okay, let's continue our definition of module in the contents of the module, which is vision. And in this particular lesson, we'll be talking about what's a course in our context. So you would think that course is merely putting together a whole bunch of modules one after another, and that should constitute a course. It may make sense in that in an intuitive way, but course is a lot more than merely a string of modules. A course is a collection of contextualized modules, and the contextualization happens at least in 3 different ways. One is institutional context. This is where you will decide who can take the course, who teaches the course, pass, fail, how many credits, etc. Curricular context. This is where one would talk about what module precedes which module, what would be the end of the module exams, should somebody see the next module before the previous module is completed, and many other variations. Pedagogical context is where you may want to add between modules more details or more additional reading and a specific stress on certain parts of the modules, whether to include labs, a lot of pedagogical content. So these are 3 fundamental ways in which one contextualizes a set of modules to make a course. So let's get into the details. So this is a typical structure of a course. There'll be a bunch of modules, and there'll be an opening session and transition between modules, and then there's a conclusion. These are what allow this collection of modules to be contextualized for the institution, for the curriculum, and for the pedagogy. This contextualization, in our opinion, helps substantially the meaning and the power of these modules as content holders, with the course structure as the dissemination or delivery vehicle. So that, I think, is probably the best way to combine the two, the knowledge and the delivery. By separating the concerns of knowledge and delivery and keeping the modules pure content and development and exposition, and contextualization is external to the module, I think we have a lot of advantages. We can reuse different modules in different contexts. Different courses can use the same module. And it also increases the flexibility to the teacher and the student, because the teacher can add more material as additional reading to the module, reduce some emphasis on the content of the module, increase the emphasis, require follow-ups with hands-on experiments, etc. So it all contextualization depends on the students, the geography, the culture, and so on. I think this is the most powerful part of being able to produce a course, by combining the modules. And a program would be basically a collection of courses, contextualized in a particular way. And there will be a lot more weight on an organizational discipline on a program than in the case of a course. A course is much more influenced by the curriculum and by the emphasis that they wanted to put together, although institution does weigh a little bit on it. But when it comes to a program, as we will soon see, institutional weight will be a lot more. See you in the next lesson. Okay, so we are now coming to the last lesson in this module, which is program definition. So what is a program? Intuitively, it's a collection of courses. However, there's a lot more to a program than a collection of courses. In fact, it is probably the most difficult to define or least well-defined part, because a rigorous definition so much depends on the institute that is offering it. For example, a program could be offer a diploma, it may not, it may require additional work outside the courses that are completed, it may require some project works. This is, for the most part, it is left to the institute to define. So in this module in general, what we learned are what is hands-on discovery and how it helps the students to prepare for being future productive citizens, and what are modules and how they form the nucleus of learning, and how a course is a contextualized collection, and a program, for the most part, depends on the institute that is offering. So there are a bunch of questions you can think about, like, do you like this particular logo? And do you believe and agree with a module being the nucleus? The most important thing that we stress is the process of learning, a lot more than specific aspect or a topic that is being learned. Do you agree with that? And a course is where the knowledge and delivery meet each other. Your thoughts on that? And a program is the least well-defined part. Would you agree with that? These are some of the things for you to think about. See you again.